All right, good evening and welcome to the Capital Improvement and Planning Committee meeting. It is Monday, October 6th, 2025, and it is 7:34 p.m. We have three of our five voting members present and do have a quorum. First item of business is Mike N. Welcome to the committee. I don't know, Mike Ski had his first time with us last time and just provided a brief introduction of background and reason for wanting to join here. So just figure to give you the floor for a minute or so to see if you have anything you want to offer before we go into the full agenda.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you all. Thank you for thanks for the introduction. We moved to Southborough in 2022 and rented for a year, and then we bought a house, the same house we were renting in 2023. I used to be in corporate finance in the insurance business for a while, and before I went back to grad school, and I've been a statistician ever since. But I just wanted to get involved to help out in whatever way I could with um, the various parts of town government. So I thought it could help in this area.
Great. We're happy to have you and look forward to obviously this is the like I mentioned to you before, this is the right time to get involved as we start a full year budget cycle. So we'll be starting that process tonight with John when we get to him in a second here. So
Sure.
with that, I will go to the next item on our agenda, which is the approval of outstanding meeting minutes. We have one set from June 30th, which was our last meeting. Those were circulated. It was a very brief meeting. Mike Ski, I don't know if you had a chance to look at them and whether you have any comments or questions.
I did scan through them, and no questions, no comments.
Okay. So, Mike, I'm going to put Mike N. I'm going to put a motion on the table because you weren't a member of the committee. I think you got
Uh,
appointed one day later. It's up to you whether you vote on it. You can vote yes, no, or abstain, but just want to make sure you have that option before I get into.
With only
Um,
three of us, if I abstain, it's not going to prevent it
we're still
from.
fine if you
Yeah. Okay.
abstain. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to move that we approve the June 30th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mike N.
I abstain.
Mike Ski.
Aye.
And I am I as well. So that's a 201 vote. All right. With that, we will start our series of presentations. The way that we have typically done this in the past is we invite the department head to come and just answer questions on their submissions, provide any overview that they want before we ask any questions. We usually have the department heads come back at a later point in time when once we have a picture of the broader town capital needs. We unfortunately don't have that yet. We still have some departments that have not fully submitted capital items yet. So I did not want to delay any further in terms of those departments that have submitted to get them in and start hearing what's in front of us and kind of get the ball rolling before we run out of time. So John is going to be our first department tonight. He's always very well prepared and very prompt as well in terms of his submissions and timeliness. So I'm going to move him over to panelist. Hi, John.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And thanks again, as always, for not only your prompt submission, but your detailed submission and leading us through each of your items and changes since we last met. We have new members of tonight. So some both have not heard a presentation from you and have not had as much time in terms of your 10-year plan as obviously I have had. So you may get different questions or questions you've answered in the past, but I know you'll be ready for them. And obviously, if there isn't something that you're able to answer on the fly tonight, we'll either do a follow up via email or have you come back later in the budget cycle. So with that, I think the first thing I want to do is really give you the floor. If there's anything you want to highlight beyond the written submissions that you sent in that you just want everyone to hear about, things that are on your mind, and then really we'll ask in terms of your request for the FY27 budget cycle if there's any priority order that you have if, in terms of this is a must do, can't sacrifice it for X, Y, or Z reason. This is really should do it, but if push came to shove, it is, number 2 or number 3. And then any sort of cautionary tales, kind of looking out on the 10-year plan, or things that are keeping you up at night, things that may in particular move forward without notice, that you're watching and trying to do. I know some of your notes clearly indicated things you're actually looking to push back, which is always welcome, as long as we're not, prolonging an issue for a department. And I'll just, maybe add some color commentary from hearing you in the past. I think the really important thing with John is his plan really covers a lot of departments, given it covers buildings that departments reside in, versus the other department heads we hear from are very static to their operations. John's operations probably cross over the most, right? So we're going to talk about things, for example, in the DPW. We're not here with the DPW superintendent tonight. We're here with the facilities director, but just in terms of how they handle each of their own capital budget. So, John, I'll turn it to you if there's anything you want us to hear before diving into the questions. I'll give you the floor to start.
I think one of the things I'd like to bring up is you'll notice in the next few years after FY27, I've got some boiler units in. And what I'd like to do moving out, Jason, we had really good luck with Assabet over Corderville Hall with the addition. So right now they're in between HVAC teachers. He left the school, and I'm going to meet with the new HVAC instructor once they get one on staff to see if that's something they may be able to help us out with, because we might be able to take some of these numbers and even bang them down farther by doing it with the students. I mean, we would just have to time it, because again, most students are in class throughout the heating season. So we'd have to try to prepare it so we can grab them at the end of the school year pretty much. But I think that might be one way we can drive down some more costs on some of that stuff. And honestly, rewiring of Corderville Hall building, that's going to either get banged way down too or outright removed for FY28, because we've done so much work with the addition and additional stuff we've done at Corderville Hall. We've banged out most of that too, quite honestly. So it's nice when you can peck away at this stuff through your capital maintenance when you're doing projects and realize something that was so large has all of a sudden become rather small. So I'm feeling good about that stuff. This year, unfortunately, the overhead doors, I have had to add 15% to this. I mean, we're looking at the possibility of tariffs, and I'll be real upfront with you. I can't even guarantee that'll be enough. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 12 months. You just can't tell anymore. I'm comfortable with it. Am I going to say I'm 100% comfortable with it? No, I'm not. I don't think you could throw any number out today that you're going to say you're 100% comfortable with anymore. I think we're in a good spot with it, though.
But the need is there at this point, is what you're saying?
It's a need. Is it an absolute necessity right now? No, these doors are not falling off by any means. But if we want to stay on target with the capital plan, this is a project we probably should address.
And this, I think you've delayed at least 3, if not 4 years at this point,
Yeah.
for both Mike's benefits.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's time that we just face it head on and let's just get it done. And hopefully we'll get some good bids and things will calm down a little bit in the next year.
So John, you've already got initial estimates, so I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay, and then that's where you're working off of, and you just did a little bit of variance. You haven't probably done a new estimate at this point, but that's because we're not at that point yet to go back out to get formalized bids. Okay.
Well, what I did,
I'm-
I actually called the original estimator and said, look, we had 15%. He goes, that should cover you right now. And again, they're giving you their best guess at this point.
For starters, your stuff's very thorough. Thank you. But I didn't realize it was been in the meeting invite until about 2 hours ago. And I was getting through all of it, and it was really easy to navigate. So thank you. The number of overhead doors that I didn't see, but maybe it was on one of the sheets. How many are there?
Let me see if I got one of mine here. For some reason, 13 or 15 is popping in my head.
There's a lot.
What's
Okay,
left?
I've seen the transfer station, so I know there's a. I remember seeing at least 4 on one side and 4 on another. So I assume at least 8. But
Yeah, there's a lot of doors. We've
Okay.
done, I think 4 or 5 already, and there's still that many left.
Okay, and And Bill did not, he has, so like you were saying earlier, Jason, I know that from a facility standpoint, you're helping out with the buildings. This is not anywhere baked into, Bill's, budget as well too, for
No,
DPW?
this is
Okay.
strictly a facility.
Okay, makes sense. Then, the only other thing is that 13 doors, $10,000 a door, they're bigger doors too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
all
the
electric,
doors, the
everything.
openers, engineering, it's a whole ball of wax.
Okay, then, yeah, if you could send over the estimates, the original estimates, I don't know if that was in it, I didn't think I saw those, but if you could send them over, I'm just curious, right now, I'm probably a little overzealous because you're the first person, but I'd like to see them.
I can try to find you the original one. It's been years and we've added percentages as we go, but I can try to look through my files and find it.
If you do, you do, you don't, it's not probably the end of the world. If I think about it again in a week or two, then, then I'll fall off.
God, I hope you're thinking about more exciting things than this.
Well, every penny counts right now.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me. That's one thing you learn about me quick. I don't like to waste money.
Mike, so Mike Ski, why don't I just stay with you? Are there any questions on anything that you did get a chance to look at with John, beyond the overhead door item?
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like the costs are coming down, and it looks like it was really great with some of the updates. That's great news. I know that you probably have everything covered, but when you think of stuff that's further out, I mean, is there anything you really need to pull in? I mean, it's that punch that you don't see coming that ended up putting you down. That's the one that like immediately like, all right, yeah, we thought about it. It didn't seem that bad, and then out of nowhere it came left field. Is there anything further out that is something that we should probably bring in?
There's one thing you can never predict, and I always use as an example in facilities. It's septic systems.
Okay.
We ran into this at the town hall because a septic system could last 25 years and the same exact system could last 60 years. So you don't replace a septic system just to replace it. It's not something you throw on a budget. You wait till they start to fail, unfortunately. Then we had this problem at the town hall. We drained the capital maintenance that year and we needed to go back for a little extra money, but it came out of the blue. When excessive septic system decides to stop, it's going to stop.
Okay, then do you know what it is to do an inspection? Is there any way to get a kind of an idea of what could go, like the major places? No. So
unfortunately, it's not how it works. When it stops leaching, it stops leaching. And the way you tell is all of a sudden it's like, I smell a little something. And that buys you some time. It's not like it failed instantly, but you got a little bit of time.
Jason, is there anything that we've done in the past to kind of be prepared for this?
I haven't seen anything on septic on the town side. I have seen it on the school side, but obviously that was because of some of the broader discussions that were going on. I mean, it might be something, John, for you to talk about with Dennis in the Board of Health, right, too, in terms of what they see, what they do. The nice thing is we know that public safety should be fine for a long time because that was new with the building, and it's also tied into Woodward.
Jason, you're cursing us right now, Jason.
It should be good for whatever lifetime they usually have. But yes, we know the age of it. Townhouse you just covered, right? So you're dealing with Corderville, right? And these things go based on the size of the building in DPW, right? And then you have some small ancillary other facilities, but I don't want to, they're very small, right? Some small.
And again, sometimes they last double the time you expect them to. It's just like a house septic system. You can never really tell.
Yeah.
I mean, we get them pumped regularly. They inspect the tanks when they're there. They do their job. Everything looks good. But it's always the leach field. That's what's underground. You never know what's going on in the leach field.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I just review? So the facilities that you're covering here are the town hall. The Corderville Hall is the one down near the church with the rec department and stuff like that in it.
Nope,
that right?
that's South Union building.
South Union. Okay, which one's Corderville Hall?
Across from Woodward, 9 Corderville Road.
Oh, okay. Yep, that one. Okay. And then the DPW building, and then what else is there?
We have the Historic Museum, the Town Hall, the Library, Corderville Hall, Public Safety, Cemetery Building, DPW, Transfer Station, South Union Building.
Okay.
and Station 2.
Okay. And so the overhead doors are all at the DPW facility, is that
Yep,
right?
That's all in the
Okay.
main facility, yeah.
Okay. I'm just yeah, just getting a handle of
No, trust me, it
the
takes a
scope.
while to get to learn all of them. I
Yeah.
get it.
And when the
Learn the new-
superintendent comes, he will cover any school-related building. They have a separate facilities department that
Okay.
covers all school buildings, which would include as well Algonquin and Northborough as part of that.
Okay.
All right. Mike Ski, I asked you if you had any other questions. Mike N, any questions on what you've heard thus far?
No, I mean, the I guess my only question would have been essentially the same as Mike's, which is just are there, you know, it sounds like these are due and sort of prudent to do in the schedule as planned. Is there is there anything that like you would change your prioritization of in terms of time for the future there? But it doesn't sound like it's essentially the same question as Mike asked.
Yeah,
But
right now, I
anything-
don't have anything on fire, put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, and that's where you want to be. You don't want to wait until stuff's ready to fail. You
Yeah.
try to avoid that at all costs.
Well, there's a safety issue with a bad garage door, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No other questions from me. I mean, this is. When I'm more experienced, maybe I'll come up with better questions.
We're
I'm
not
easy to
making
get a
any-
hold
the
of.
good
Give
news
me a
is-
call.
The good news is we're not making any decisions tonight, but
Yeah.
I feel it's important that the department heads, allow. Some plans are easier than others in some years. Like some of the departments we have coming in future weeks were really tough a couple of years ago, and are fairly straightforward this year. Other departments that have had not that much going on have a lot going on all of a sudden. So it ebbs and flows as well as Mark Purple usually tells us, right? There's departments have to take turns as well based on prioritization and needs. So we're just ingesting data. We're not making any decisions yet. John, to the point on the quotes and stuff like that, I think we are exploring as part of the process how to give department heads flexibility for the pricing pressure. So maybe your overhead doors are fine, but a police cruiser comes in a couple of thousand more, or a fire truck comes in a couple of thousand less, creating a little more flexibility in terms of how the article ends up being worded. So I think we're going to work through that holistically. I do think it would be important, though, as we get closer to the winter months and a number starts to go to advisory and select board, we're probably going to need that, I'll call it refreshed quote. Like if, hey, we're going to go order it tomorrow, this is the number. I know the dealer of this stuff and the state bid list won't hold it until May by the time you're ready to order it, for a successful town meeting and knowing you can't install anything until July. We're probably going to need that just because of, the budgetary situation we all know we're headed into, even without, other huge, large capital items in front of us right this second.
That's fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure it's not lost in John's submission, and this has been a topic of discussion for a while, is the facilities maintenance fund. So I'll call it little things that add up to a number throughout the year come about, right? John listed off all the buildings he covers. For as long as I've been on capital, and it goes way before that, this number has been 100,000 a year.
This is the
John,
the capital maintenance fund that you mentioned in the
Yeah.
letter.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure because that was closer to the bottom that didn't get lost. Like,
Yeah.
we have talked for years about increasing that. I think John has finally actually advocating that we increase it. I know.
Yeah, I've held off as long as I can, but
Yeah.
the economy has caught up with me, guys.
Yeah. So that budget line item has been the same for a very, very long time. And if you think about what we're getting for that, we're clearly getting less. And that's not because John's not doing his job. It's just, we all know materials and labor have gone up, right? So things break during the year. So that is one tool we have why you don't see all these different line items on the capital policy or plan, is John does take care of things as they break during the year, because just like a house, things go without knowledge, and as prudent as we try to be with the planning, it just doesn't always work that way.
John, actually, I do have a question about this one. I completely understand what you're asking for and the need to increase, especially for how long it's been What are some of the bigger items? And I know that we kind of covered a little bit. Septic is like one that you don't, it sounds like it comes out of here. But what are some of like the top 5 bigger things that have happened in the last 3 or 4 years where you've had to draw out of and it's pulled it down fast?
Elevator breaks, that's a huge one. If an elevator breaks, you can look at $15,000-$20,000 blink of an eye. You have like an air conditioning unit fail. They're right there, you're looking at $10,000-$12,000. It's just stuff like that you can't see coming. It's like,
Okay.
luckily, the biggest elevator breaks we've had have been lightning strikes, thank God. Those are covered by insurance.
Good.
But you still end up with repairs. It's just stuff goes. And unfortunately, when an elevator breaks, they have to have 2 union technicians on site to do anything. It adds up very quickly. It's
Okay.
just stuff like that. It's a blink of an eye. It's like, oh, I did not see that one coming.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's clear.
All right. John, I think we'll let you go then.
right. Hey,
Appreciate the submission. We'll be in touch once we get through the other department heads, which will probably be closer to Thanksgiving, I think, based on how our schedule's panning out, and let you know if we have any questions. And of course, if your one item that you're recommending we need more details on, or going towards any sort of position of not supporting, will obviously allow you a chance to come back and see what we're facing. But obviously, we're nowhere near that part tonight.
excellent. Mike, nice meeting you both. Thank you
You
all.
also.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
John.
John.
All right. Steve is not here, so I'm going to skip the pre-K to 8 school building committee update and just save that for our next agenda.
Okay.
My understanding is, though, that committee is wrapping up their work. So I
Good.
think it'll be good to kind of hear wherever they landed and whatever the next steps are there. But I think whatever next steps will be a future committee at that point.
Okay.
The next is the FY26 capital process timeline and overall update. So all but what I'll call one major capital department have submitted everything. So I'm in the process with Brian trying to get that uploaded into the share site so that everyone can look holistically across that. And I've got dates on the calendar for almost all the departments based on the meeting dates that I circulated. So I think the most important thing for you guys at this point is twofold. One, if one of those dates creep up and aren't going to work for whatever reason, to let me know so that we can either reschedule it or make sure we have a quorum present. These are always recorded, so as long as we have a quorum, my inclination is I'm going to continue to have the department heads come make their presentation, and then we'll make sure all 5 of us are certainly here whenever we have to start making kind of the tougher decisions in November, December. But
Okay.
we're ways away from making decisions. So upcoming, we have fire, police, in schools. Schools is going to be a pretty long discussion. Recreation will be a long discussion. I have not seen DPW yet, so but my inclination is that is going to be quite extensive as well, based on where it was last year. There's no
Okay.
way things just magically disappeared, given what Bill was facing. So
Okay.
that's what we have in front of us as we go. I try to stack public safety together. So going back and forth with them. Schools will be its own night, and DPW will likely be its own night, and recreation will slot in there with one of those 2.
Okay. Is there
Uh,
anything that
Good.
is there any part of this that we need to have done and like in preparation for the town meeting, or that seems to be like a separate, the warrant
No,
for that is
all of
kind
this
of all
leads to
set,
town
right?
meeting. Yeah.
Oh,
So
does, okay.
typically, what we do is we have to hear from all the departments usually by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, oh, you're talking about town meeting in the spring.
Yeah. We have
Okay,
nothing for the fall town meeting.
okay, yeah, that's what
Yeah, we have not been asked for anything on that. There's no new articles. Yeah, so then the stuff at the end of October, yes, there's nothing that really crosses into capital yet at this point.
Okay.
But normally they try to avoid. It's not a one size fits all, but they usually try to avoid monetary articles at the fall town meeting. There are some salary items; those don't obviously impact us. But I'm talking about all of our work. We spend months getting ready for the spring town
The
meeting.
sprint. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So the one ask I have on the capital process is, for years, Brian and I have had to maintain an Excel workbook. We've looked at capital software. To be honest, there's not something great out there for public municipalities like you see in the private sector. What I would like is one or both of you to take a fresh look. It's not automated. I want it to be automated. I wish there's a better process and presentation. So once, and we couldn't have done that yet because we don't have all the submissions. But to the extent you guys want to take a fresh crack look at it with Brian in terms of how to format it, how to ingest the data, how to present it,
Yeah.
I'm all for that. So we only need one, but if both of you want to do it, obviously the more the better. But that is something we can start to work on between meetings so that we have kind of what I'll call the holistic view, as opposed to you just look at John's capital plan, you're like, oh, this is easy. But it's when you start stacking these on top of other departments, it becomes very challenging very quickly.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. I don't know, Mike, if you want to do that too. But
I'd love to be a part of it. I don't know that maybe I'll get in and find out, Mike, you're better hands on with this than I, then I'll back off. But if I definitely do a lot of reporting with the roles that I've had in the past, so maybe I can help out. So
yeah,
don't mind tag teaming it.
sure.
Okay. We can have two. We can't have three because once it gets to three, we constitute kind of a open meeting.
Okay.
So I just think helping him, right? And you're not making any decisions. All you're doing is taking data and formatting it so that it's easier to present and be viewed by the committee. So I'll link you up with Brian and start that process, and we can kind of see what it looks like. And I think what we can do is we can put a regular update on so we can kind of see what the big picture looks like as well as we go forward.
Sure. Now, does Brian maintain that spreadsheet like locally on his machine, or is that on
has
us?
in the past? He has maintained it because there was no capital committee back in 2000.
Okay.
So Brian was candidly a one person show with the town administrator trying to keep it all in check. And now that we have processes in place and policies in place, I have helped him over the years, but we have not evolved from an efficiency perspective in terms of how we ingest the data. Time is usually the enemy on that. It's not certainly a lack of skills by any means.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. So I will link you up on that. I will send which departments have been finalized for each of them, but the goal is to hear from every department by the time we get to Thanksgiving, so that once the select board in advisory set their budget timeline, we're ready for them. We're usually at the very front of that in terms of what's the total kind of capital ask, because that can drive other decisions as well.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any questions on that?
That makes sense.
Okay. So I have next is committee reorganization. This is a standard thing you do like your first meeting within a fiscal year. And we currently do not have a vice chair and we currently do not have a clerk, and we always elect a chair too, right? Just because I'm sitting in the chair seat now doesn't mean I have to continue in it. My preference would be to table this until we have all 5 members, because I have no idea Tony and Steve's thoughts on any of this, but did want to at least preview it tonight in terms of we do need to formally do this at our next meeting in a couple weeks.
That's fine with me.
Okay. I assume
Sounds
no
good.
one has objection to tabling it.
No.
Otherwise, you're each going to end up with a role you may or may not want.
And how will we know that we had the support of the other 2 members in that role?
Yeah, I think it's important to be a well-oiled machine, especially, Tony's the longest serving member, but he's not what I'll call a founding member back in the 2000, 2001 timeframe. So, we've got different levels of tenure now, which is actually awesome. Because for a while there, we were pretty consistent, which has its pros and cons for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So we will do that the next meeting. Public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? Seeing no hands raised. Is there any other business or questions you guys have for tonight?
No, not for tonight.
Okay.
Not tonight.
So our next meeting will be 2 weeks from tonight, and that will be on the 20th. So let me know
Sounds
if your schedules change or anything changes on your availability for that. Otherwise, I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Mike, want to take this one?
Second.
All right. Mike N
Yeah.
seconds. Roll call vote. Mike N.
Approve or yay. Yes.
Mike Ski.
Yay.
And I'm I as well. That's 3-0
Yeah.
vote. Thanks all for joining, and have a great night.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank
Nice
you,
to see you,
Jason.
Mike.